I used to work as a 911 dispatcher in northern Pennsylvania. That's not something I usually tell people because it always leads to questions. People want to know the worst call I ever took, the most disturbing thing I ever heard. For a long time, I didn't have an answer. Not because nothing bad happened, but because most emergencies blur together after a while. Until those calls started coming in. It began during the fall, when the nights grew longer and the forests around our county turned into walls of black silhouettes. Northern Pennsylvania is nothing but trees, hills, and forgotten roads. You can scream out there, and no one will hear you. That's something I learned very quickly. The first call came in at 2:17 a.m. The line connected, but no one spoke. All I could hear was breathing, slow, heavy, too close to the phone. I asked the standard questions, location, name, emergency type, but got nothing in return. Then faintly I heard footsteps, crunching leaves, twigs snapping. The call disconnected. I marked it as a dropped call and moved on. 10 minutes later, another call came in, different number, same breathing. This time I heard whispering, too quiet to make out. I asked again if anyone was there. That's when a voice replied. It sounded like a woman trying not to cry. Please don't hang up. I asked where she was. In the woods, she said. I can hear them. I tried to keep my voice calm, grounding her, asking her to describe her surroundings. She said she didn't know how she got there. She had been driving home from work when her car stalled near a dirt road. When she stepped outside, she heard her name being called from the trees. That's when she stopped talking. I heard something else instead. More breathing. Not just one person anymore. I dispatched officers immediately, but before they could arrive, the woman screamed. It wasn't a normal scream. It was raw, animal, filled with terror, so intense it froze my blood. Then the line went dead. Her body was found 2 days later. She was lying face up in a clearing, less than half a mile from the road. No visible injuries. No blood. Her eyes were wide open, and her mouth was stretched into a shape that suggested she died screaming. The medical examiner listed the cause of death as cardiac arrest due to extreme stress. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. The calls started coming every night after that, always between 2 and 4 a.m., always from different numbers, always the same pattern. Breathing, footsteps, whispers. Sometimes the caller spoke. Sometimes they didn't. One man told me he was being followed by something that sounded like him. Another caller begged me not to send the police, saying, "They don't like lights." One woman stayed on the line for almost 6 minutes, quietly sobbing while something growled in the background. Not an animal growl, something closer. Wet, curious. None of them survived. I began to notice details I couldn't explain. The calls never showed a precise location, just a general area near the state forest. The phone pings jumped around as if the callers were moving impossibly fast. And when officers searched, they reported the same thing every time. The woods were silent. No animals. No wind, no insects, just silence pressing in on them. One night I recognized a voice. It was my coworker Daniel. He'd left work an hour earlier, heading home. When his call came through, my stomach dropped. He sounded confused, disoriented. He said he'd pulled over because he heard someone calling his name from the trees. I told him to get back in his car, lock the doors, turn around. He whispered, "It knows my name." Something moved near the phone. I heard leaves shifting, slow and deliberate. Daniel's breathing turned frantic. Then I heard my own voice, clear as day, calling his name. Daniel screamed. The line went dead. His car was found the next morning parked neatly on the shoulder of the road. Engine off, doors open, no sign of a struggle. After that, I stopped answering calls from unknown forest locations. I tried to report what was happening, but no one listened. Supervisors blamed stress, said I needed time off. They didn't hear what I heard. They didn't listen to the recordings. Except I did. Late one night, alone in the dispatch office, I replayed one of the calls. I slowed it down, cleaned the audio. That's when I noticed something buried beneath the breathing. Voices, dozens of them, all whispering the same phrase. Come closer. I quit my job the next day and moved across the country. Changed my number. Cut contact with everyone I knew back home. For a while, it worked. No calls, no whispers, no nightmares. Until last week. My phone rang at 2:17 a.m., unknown number. I answered without thinking. There was breathing on the line. Slow, heavy, and then a familiar voice said, "Please don't hang up." I was sitting in my apartment, thousands of miles away from those woods. But when I looked out my window, I saw trees,